Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This video is all about brain bombs, how to mass craft them, where to find the materials to do so, and what they do. So without further ado, let's get cooking. The first thing you have to do is make your way to any cooking station. Once you're inside the cooking station, we're going to go ahead and scroll down to plants. Once we're in plants, it's right here at the top, brain bombs. What they do is they give you an additional 7.5 intelligence for an hour and a half with herbivore. That is very important. And why is intelligence important? Well, intelligence is important because every intelligence gives you roughly a bonus of 2% XP gain. So that's an additional 15% XP gain for an hour and a half. And the 7.5 intelligence is nice if you run like an energy weapon build because that's just more damage stacking on top. So if you look at the crafting ingredients, we need 3 brain fungus, 2 Mothman eggs, 2 purified water, 3 sugar bombs, and 1 wood. Now I'm going to trust that you guys know where to get wood. It's literally everywhere. And I also know you guys know how to get purified water, but I'm going to show you my personal method for getting that water quickly. So for water and sugar bombs, what we're going to do is we're going to travel up to Sunshine Meadows. That's located right near Flatwoods. Super simple and easy to get to, especially early game. Now, once we're here, you're just going to need to clear the enemies out of the area and then claim the packing plant for your own. The next step is now to supply power to the packing machine. To do that, I usually will just build any sort of generator. The cheapest one possible is helpful. If this box on the wall here is activated, it'll give you free power, but you have to power up Poseidon to get that, so it's usually just easier to build a generator. Everything in green is provided by the workshop. That's why I like to build this one. You don't need that much power, I don't think. I don't actually remember how much you need. But you're going to connect this to the packing machine and it'll start making things. Now, once you do that, you have to enter this terminal. I couldn't get it to initialize, but usually a menu will pop up and you'll just select sugar bombs and then the packing machine will start making them. The next thing you want to do is, I kind of messed this up. I meant to record me placing these, but I forgot to. You're going to want to build a wall of vintage water coolers. The reason being is they produce so much water and are so cheap to craft. This is how I get my main source of purified water. I will literally just build one of these, or even, as you can see, 3 of these at any workshop, even multiple workshops. You can max out the budget and get tons of purified water that way. I recommend doing it in a private server, but it's not the end of the world if you have to do it in a public server either. But that's how I got all my purified water for the video. So once you get the sugar bombs crafting inside, you can come outside and build any sort of water purifier. I just really like these. I actually built these way later and had to AFK for a long time just to get a little bit of water to show you guys. But build this now, and then by the time you go and get the Mothman eggs and the brain fungus, this should have enough water in it. You don't need a whole lot of water because you only need roughly the same amount of water as Mothman eggs, and you can only really get like 20 of them at a time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head up to Point Pleasant. It's located northwest of Flatwoods. You're just going to come over here and I'll show you exactly where to run. So typically you'll spawn on this side of the bridge and have to run into the town. There's a couple cultists here, but it's usually not a big deal. They're generally speaking pretty weak and easy to kill. They don't give a whole lot of XP, so if you can run by them, that's usually the best thing to do. I just don't like them shooting me, so I just clear them out when I get here. We're going to run down to the waterfront here, and around this table, there's a couple Mothman egg spawns. You don't need to get too many of these at a time. I usually just like to hit this one location and the other location here at Point Pleasant, because you can only use brain bombs so quickly, and by the time you run out, there'll be more here for you. So next, what we're going to do is we're just going to run over here and hop this wall. Right across the wall here, there's a bunch more Mothman egg spawns. They spawn all around this statue. You're just going to run around and claim all these. Doing this should give you roughly 20. This is not affected by green thumb or super duper or anything like that, so you really can only get about 20 from this location at a time. That's not a huge deal though. Like I said, the thing lasts for an hour and a half. By the time you run your first one and it runs out, these should be respawned. Next, though, we got to get brain fungus, so we're going to head to Abandoned Waste Dump in the Mire. This one place will give you more than enough. brain fungus more than you'll ever need. But make sure that you have on green thumb just because it helps. I like to have as much as possible. You know, green thumb, it gives you twice as much flora when you harvest, and brain fungus is actually considered flora, so it does help. But we're just gonna head around here past the trailer. Make sure that you have on some good rad protection when you get in here. There's a lot of radiation barrels and things like that. But once you're inside, what you're gonna need to worry about more is having some serious firepower, because inside of the abandoned waste dump here spawns 2 death claws. These death claws will scale with your level. The fastest way to take them out is just to shoot the belly if you vax them. That's their crit spot. If you shoot them in the belly, they usually go down pretty quickly. Their heads are pretty armored. Let me know if you want me to do a build video on my standard everyday build, but you're just gonna run through here kind of like I do and harvest as much brain fungus as you can grab. Whatever you don't need at the end, because you will have an excess of brain fungus, you can just turn it into brain fungus soup, which is like a nerfed version of brain bombs. What brain fungus soup does is it gives you 5 intelligence for 30 minutes, I believe. So that's like an additional 10% XP. It's a very good alternative if you don't have the sugar bombs or don't want to go get the Mothman eggs, because if you just come to here, you can walk out with like close to 100 brain fungus soup. Now that you got your brain fungus, it's time to go collect your water. I didn't AFK this for too terribly long, and I AFK'd at the spot, so I only got a little bit of water out of this, but that's completely fine. You get the idea. Now that we've done that, all we have to do is go back to a cooking station and scroll down to plants. There you'll find brain bombs, and you'll be able to craft them now, assuming that you have wood. I'm not showing you where to get wood, bro. You can Google that one. Anyway, these brain bombs are great. Brain fungus soup is right beneath it. Whatever you have left over for the brain fungus, I recommend turning into brain fungus soup. It only requires dirty water. But as you'll see, we'll pop one here with herbivore. It will last for an hour and a half, and it'll give you 7.5 intelligence. That's roughly 15% XP for an hour and a half, plus the damage on top of your intelligence perks. As you can see here, it's 7 intelligence. It actually is 7.5. It just doesn't show the half values. If you're wondering where to get the recipe, you have to go into the White Springs Mall, head downstairs, and go into the Pink Bakery shop and talk to the robots there. They will sell you the recipe usually. Sometimes you have to check a couple times. Again, make sure you go ahead and craft the rest of your brain fungus into brain fungus soup. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. That means a lot to me. If you could also leave a like and subscribe, that would help me out a lot, because the channel's still growing. It's still relatively small, and I'd like to grow, you know. So I'd really appreciate that. If you want to get notified whenever I post, click the bell notification down below, and leave a comment if there's any guides, builds, or anything else Fallout related that you'd like to see. Thank you so much for your time. It means the world to me. Enjoy your rest of your day. Goodbye.